Hello and welcome to another episode of FPL Expectations with me, Craig. And as I said during the week, we're going to concentrate on team reveals for the rest of this week with our experts. And who else but Joe FPL to join us today for today's show. Joe, how are you doing?
Hey, good, doing good. Busy week, especially leading up to the first game week. Still not 100%, but getting there. Hopefully.
Yeah. And how's the week been in terms of how many times have you been looking at your team? How many times have you been making changes to it?
I wouldn't say I make changes. I just been toying around with combinations, see how much in the bank, and things like that, and also really exciting transfers coming in, especially past few days. So
Yeah.
especially the price reveals for today is quite tempting, I would say.
Yeah, and just touching on the price reveals for today, I mean, it just came at a great time just before we did this show, actually. So it gave you a little bit of time to tinker with your team as well. So your current draft has been done, in the last half an hour?
I've actually sort of done the current. I mean, almost exactly the current draft. Probably on Sunday. But with one of the price reveals today, I sort of switch things around and see
He's
how it
gone
looks.
straight into your team.
Yeah, but still having my reserves, but looks exciting.
Okay, well, you've still got another 3-4 days before you make your decision. So we'll see what you have right now. We'll start with the goalkeepers in your team, and let me just get it up for you. So yeah, just talk us through your goalkeeper selection.
Okay, basically goalkeepers. Ryan has been locked in my team ever since the new season is being launched.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, Ryan, the season prior to last season, he was phenomenal. But last season probably being overshadowed by Pope, and I think because also the manager did a bit of switching around in the defense, so that I think has affected his performance in terms of FPL. But overall, he's still a really solid shot stopper, and with hopefully the defensive unit of Brighton will really solidify and give Ryan even better value. So Ryan has been in my team ever since, and I've switched Walton because our beloved David Button has switched to West Brom. So who else to put in but Walton? But I still see some people keep Button in their team, even their keeper is not a West Brom keeper. I have no idea why. Probably they really miss Button in their team. But for me, why I switched to Walton is because I really want somebody, a goalkeeper start. If Ryan somehow got injured, I have no idea who Walton is, to be honest. He's a good shot stopper, or he can deputize for Ryan well enough. I just put in there because he is a goalkeeper, second goalkeeper in Brighton. So that's why Walton is in.
Like, I think that's a pretty standard, when you get Matty Ryan, you get the reserve keeper. There's not much rotation. It's a set and forget, ultimately. And should he get suspended or injured, the replacement comes in. Just go back to your Button comment. I think a lot of people are not too aware that he's moved to West Brom as well. It's kind of gone under the radar a little bit. So that could be a possibility as to why Button is still in a lot of teams which have Matt Ryan as their first choice. But does the change in formation that Brighton have played in during the preseason friendlies have any effect in your decision in choosing Ryan? Because I see some reports that they played with three at the back. Ben White coming back after a successful loan spell at Leeds as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it didn't affect much of my decision. It probably, in fact, it affirms it. I
Yeah,
think they did pretty well against Chelsea in a 1-1
yeah.
draw, and I think the latest they were against West Brom, which is a 0-0. So
Yeah,
0-0, that's the best result you
that's as
you
good
would
as it
ever
can
want.
get.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, so far from what I can see is hopefully, fingers crossed, they are more solid in their defense, and why Ryan instead of McCarthy or even some of the new promoted goalkeepers is because somehow uh, I know Ryan has been reliable for the past 2 seasons. Um,
Yeah,
so that's why he's my choice keeper.
despite of the fixtures that they have.
Yeah, because like I mentioned probably in our first episode of expectations, one of my probably biggest regrets is too many transfers regarding
Yeah, yeah,
on
correct.
keepers. So I would probably I would love to fix that this season. So that's
Okay.
why I'm sticking to Ryan for now. For now.
Okay, we're going to move on to the defenders, and this is where it starts to get a little bit more exciting. Um, yeah, I see you obviously have Trent, which is I think he's going to be in everyone's.
Yeah.
He's going to be in everyone's team, but you got some interesting picks alongside him as well. I see you got for Taylor, obviously Mitchell at 4.0, Ailing at 4.5. Not sure if James had an influence in your decision there, and Walker Peters. So you've gone for a Southampton defensive asset.
Okay. Initially, Trent was in my draft ever since day one.
Yeah,
Eiling, I've seen so many threats. Eiling versus
yeah,
Dallas. To be honest, I'm not so well versed in Leeds. Of course, compared to James, probably he's much way more familiar than me. But I mean, I don't know. I put Eiling in just a gut feel, I guess. I mean, it's really like Eiling and Dallas. I would say you throw a stone and you probably pick one of them.
yeah,
That's how I view the two Leeds defenders. Um, Taylor I put him there because initially I wanted Vinagre, but
yeah.
so many uncertainties happening around surrounding Wolves, and what's the new guy's name again?
Markal.
Markal, yeah. He's priced at 5 million.
Yeah,
So I'm looking at 4.5. So I switch him out, switch Vinegar out, and put Taylor in. Even though he has a blank game week 1, but I think the way Burnley ended last season, I would see because they're actually their defense their defense, the solidity of the defense is not a it's not a one season wonder kind of thing. We have known ever since
yeah.
Burnley joins the Premier League. They have a system going, and they are actually providing quite some value in terms of defense. So Taylor, he ended quite well last season, being fairly attacking in the Burnley side. So and he's 4.5. So that's why he is in my team.
Can
Even
I
though
just stop you
yeah.
while you're on Burnley assets? James
Mm-hmm.
Tarkowski, West Ham had I think it was a £20 million bid for him that was
Yep.
rejected.
Yep.
If in the case that James Tarkowski leaves Burnley, and does join someone like West Ham, how big of a factor will that be to reviewing Taylor's position?
To be honest, I don't think it will affect. Personally, for me, I don't think it will affect much of my decision, because Burnley, yes, Tarkowski is a great player, but I think Burnley as a unit, they have a thing going on. They know how to defend. So I probably wouldn't be too worried about their defensive performance, even if Tarkowski leaves. They have Ben Mee, Kevin Long, and Taylor, and also Bardsley, and even Peters as well. I'm pretty sure they can still hold the fort, so to speak.
Yeah. Okay. And who else have you got there? You've got Mitchell, obviously, 4.0. Patrick Van Aanholt has been back in training.
Yep, I've heard.
Is that a bit of a worry, or you're considering him just as a bench fodder at 4 million?
Definitely a worry. I might even consider switching back to Ferguson, because I think Ferguson's place in Palace is probably more nailed, so to speak, compared to Mitchell, because Van Aanholt is, of course, the first choice for Palace, whereas Ferguson is sharing the place with Ward, if I'm not mistaken. But currently, I'm just putting him there because he represents a 4 million defender. It could be someone else over the next week.
I think Ben Johnson has been playing for West Ham recently as well. He's at 4 million.
But one thing about West Ham is I've heard things going on in the club, which is quite a bit of turmoil, so to speak, even in the dressing room. So and considering how poor they did last game with Johnson in, probably I would try to avoid. I would probably see Mitchell become Ferguson towards the end of the week, especially if we get any news on Ferguson, because I've heard he's back in training. But so we just see about that.
And Kyle Walker-Peters.
Yeah, Kyle Walker-Peters. We know he is capable of giving quite a good returns in attack. I still remember him playing for Spurs, and he had a hat trick of assists in one match, and him signing as a permanent player in Southampton, I can see him doing quite well in that team, and I think Southampton, ever since the restart, they have a thing going on. I think it has also have to do with the team atmosphere. I probably would see them, continuing that sort of form from last season. So Kyle Walker-Peters, he's in my team because he is a defender, and he's fairly attacking, and we know Southampton. I think they're quite exciting when they're attacking. So hopefully Walker-Peters would add to that, or to contribute to that this coming season.
Okay, and we'll move on to the juicy position. I think I was speaking on Twitter to a few players, and I can't remember a season where the midfielders have been so strong. I mean, that midfield position. I mean, the choices that you have. All the way from the 5.5, you have some really good options. Actually, even 5. There's some really decent options there, and all the way up to your premium ones at 12 million. I mean, I can't remember. I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I can't remember a season where it's been this juicy.
Yeah, like even today we have transfers pouring in the midfield position price reveals in the midfield position, people like Fraser, Rodriguez, those players are like they're exciting players, and they are priced really well as well. So as I reveal my midfield, you can see it's probably not as exciting as some might hope, but there is I would say why I justify this midfield position. Initially, uh, I I put Greenwood instead of Rodriguez because I plan to bench him on game week 1. But to be honest, um, his antics in Iceland, I'm not sure. I mean, some people might say, oh, people might exaggerate. They would still play in their clubs, but I don't know. Especially since he has a blank game week 1, I I replace him with Rodriguez. Because same price. He could still be Greenwood towards the end of the week, depending on whether we get any news that Rodriguez is even fit to feature. So that's why I put Rodriguez first, because he doesn't have a blank game week 1 for now. And the next one is I put in sort of like a benchable midfield. Harrison Reed. He has signed a permanent contract with Fulham, and arguably, if I'm not mistaken, I've read reports that he is one of the best players they had last season, and he is almost 100% nailed in the team. But although it's just only as a defensive midfield, if I'm not mistaken, but he's there as a fodder. I mean, he's there as a bench player and as someone at 4.5 that plays week in, week out. I can't ask any more than that. And Saint Maximin, I've actually only moved him into my draft probably since the past few days. Before Saint Maximin, it has always been Armstrong in that position. Why Saint Maximin? Because I think, firstly, I would think he's more nailed in the Newcastle squad compared to Armstrong, because I think Armstrong did miss a few games last season. Yeah, but Saint Maximin is almost, you can say he's like the engine of Newcastle. Some might say he almost like the talisman of the team. And he is, I would say he's more nailed, and with the news of Wilson joining Newcastle, hopefully Saint Maximin somebody can profit from his creativity, and at 5.5, I don't see why not. Just put him in there, playing it week in, week out, and then if I'm not mistaken, post restart, he did pretty well himself, Saint Maximin. So that's why he is there for now in my team. And
and Newcastle's fixtures are pretty tasty as well. The first couple anyway. But just looking at the first 5, they start off with West Ham, and then they've got Brighton, Tottenham, Burnley, and then United. So a couple of tough ones in there, but some winnable ones as well.
Yep, especially many say especially versus a West Ham team with some issues of their own, especially in the boardroom. So things might get, we might see surprises in there as well, or probably a high scoring one, hopefully. So
yeah, go on.
So the last two, Salah and Aubameyang, I probably wouldn't need to talk more about these two players. But there has been news or analysis surfacing around about Salah, how he has been off form, and I even saw a post, I think, Salah's goal involvement over the last 3 seasons has been declining as compared to Mane's, which has been slowly increasing. But I don't know. For me, Salah playing at home, Salah playing at home is almost close to essential in my books. And playing against a promoted team on the first day at home, you can't get any more tastier than that. So he has been in my draft since day one. I would say he's one of my core players in my team. And Aubameyang has also always been in my team since day one. I think, as I mentioned on the first episode, I think Aubameyang is a fixtures player. I personally don't think he's set and forget. But looking at their fixtures, Arsenal's fixtures,
the first two are nice, aren't they?
Yep, Fulham and West Ham. They're playing Fulham away, but they're playing West Ham at home. So Aubameyang loves scoring at home, especially against their London rivals. So
I just want to say, like, that goes nicely as well, because after the game week 2, you can transition out of him into United, your Bruno Fernandes, or someone from City like KDB or Sterling even. So it's an easy move to make, isn't it?
Yep, exactly. Because one thing I wanted to point out, Craig, you mentioned that the midfield is like a how would I say, like a land of milk and honey, this coming season. But that being said, there are so many choices in midfield, but you can't choose them all. So I would expect there are actually quite a lot of free transfers being involved in the midfield. So which is why I would say it's important to look at the fixtures of the midfield players, and start hopping around week in, week out. You can hop, or in the premiums, you can hop between Aubameyang and City players and also United players, and then you have the mid tier like Rodriguez, Greenwood, or even players like Mason Mount or Madison or Barnes, So Ziyech as well. So there are just so many choices, and it's important to look at fixtures and rotations, and I would say the bulk of our transfers in this coming new season will be on midfields, because of the choices that we have. Even the tier, the lower tier, like Saint Maximin, so many choices. You have Armstrong, you have
Ceballos.
Ceballos.
At 5.
Additional 0.5. You have Fraser, if he comes into form. He's such a gem. So I would see the bulk of our transfers will be in the midfield.
Van de Beek at 7 as well.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's why I would prefer to look at. Especially at the start, game week 1, you wouldn't know who exactly will hit form. So it's better to look at the fixtures first, before jumping on, form players by week 3 or 4.
All right, we're going to jump on to the final position, which is the strikers. And who are the 3 that you selected up front?
Okay. Currently, I've set my eyes on Kane, Ings, and Mitrovic. Mitrovic is because probably if you look at my team, I do like to choose talismans. I firmly believe in the talisman theory as posted by Who's Got the Assists, I think. They did such a great analysis on the talismans for each team. So Mitrovic, no doubt, is the talisman for Fulham, and at 6 million, I'm pretty sure the Che Adams train has started, gain hype.
Yeah.
But I still feel Mitrovic is the talisman of Fulham, and he's definitely nailed. He's on penalties as well. So he's in my team at 6 million. I think it's quite a bargain, because firstly he is not new to the Premier League.
Yeah.
So you can't say, oh, I don't bring in players that are new to the league. Mitrovic has been in the Premier League, and he is proven to us that he can score. And at 6 million, even if he scores like 10 goals, or who knows, maybe more than that over the season, I think it's a bargain.
Yeah, for me with Mitrovic, it's one of two things. I mean, the good of Mitrovic is the fact, like as you mentioned, decent price, and he gets goals. He starts every week. He's on penalties, but and he's proven in the Premier League as well, like you said. But the flip side of that is his disciplinary record, which isn't the greatest. And is that a bit of a worry for FPL managers? I mean, he's been known to be quite physical up there, and previously we've seen him get yellow cards, red cards because of that. Is that something you have to worry about, or it's worth taking the risk?
Yeah, I mean, as long as you don't captain him, I guess, it shouldn't be too bad. Yes, players can get red card or yellow card. Even Song Hyun-min.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember the 2 red cards that he got. I had him in my team, so quite frustrating.
Some even captained it, didn't they?
Oh yeah. I mean, if I don't think I captained him. No, I didn't captain him. Thank God. But for Mitrovic, yes, you in order to embrace his beauty, so to speak, you have to also accept his flaws. Probably that's why he's priced at 6 million. He can either score goals or even brace, but in the same time he can even get a few cards. Yeah. So I guess that's the risk to take, and at 6 million, I think that's a fair risk to take.
And I'm just looking at Fulham's fixtures while we're on it. Their first 10 fixtures. I mean, we're looking at Arsenal obviously to open the season with is a tough one for them. But then after that, you've got Leeds, Villa. Within that 10, you've got Leeds, Villa, Sheffield United are there, Crystal Palace, West Brom, West Ham. I mean, they're games where Scott Parker and Fulham will be looking at that and thinking, all right, we fancy getting a few points here. So they won't be on the defensive as they would be in the opening fixture. But for someone like Mitrovic, it's a good thing, isn't it?
Yeah, because as you can see in their first, like you mentioned, in their first 10 games, they faced Leeds United, they faced West Brom. These are the 2 teams that got promoted with them this season. So probably they want to show who's boss, who's the most successful of the promoted teams. So I would see them actually giving a really good fight, especially in those games. And there's a Villa as well. Villa, which is almost got relegated last season. Pretty sure they want to show the world that they can fight in the Premier League.
All right, and we'll just go quickly to your Ings and your Kane. You did touch on it. Kane obviously on set pieces. We know guaranteed starter. Is the fixture congestion that has been highlighted any concern to you, or you're confident that Spurs will be rotating and he'll sit out Europa League qualification matches and Carabao Cup and things like that?
Okay, one thing about Kane is I probably wouldn't see him sitting out too many matches.
Yeah,
he
especially
is
in
a
the Premier
player
League.
that, yeah, especially in the Premier League, even in the Europa League and the Cup game, I can't see him being rested because he is a player that wants to play every game. You know, he is a player that thrives playing week in, week out, or even twice a week. You know, like I remember a few seasons ago where he played almost every game. You know, we were even concerned of his fitness,
Yeah.
whether him being injured and things like that, or whether he burn out. But as far as I know, you know, him as a player, uh, he is one of those players that, you know, unless you chain me, I would want to play week in, week out. So I would probably see Kane still playing bulk of the games throughout those congestion. But hopefully Mourinho will not rely on him too much, especially in non-Premier League games, and probably just try to protect him in terms of minutes. But I would see him still. I'll see Mourinho still putting the league games as a priority for Kane. And
Okay.
as we know, when Kane plays, he is the talismanic figure of Spurs.
All right. We're going to go on to a question I've got for you, and that's your wildcard usage. Are you going to be, we'll touch on this very briefly, but
Yep.
the wildcard, is it something that you're going to use early on, or is it something that you're going to save and use for the blank game weeks? I think it's in 17, 18, is it? 16, 17?
16, I think
16,
16.
yeah. Is it something that you're going to save that up for, or are you going to look to use it early on to get some City and United assets in?
I remember last season I've used my first wild card on game week 15. But I think for this season, I would probably keep. I'm personally, I can see the advantage of planning your wild card early, but for me personally, I still think wild card is actually something that I think I saw a few people mention on Twitter. It's more like a get out of jail free card. So to
Yeah,
me, a wild card is sort of like a get out of jail free card. If I really need to do major surgery on the team, or
yeah,
you know things are not going as I hope it would be, and jump on fixtures swing and form players, multiples of them, then probably I would use it. But as of now, I have no plans to use my wildcard uh, early, or which game week. If you ask me which game week now I would use my wildcard, I can't answer that as of now.
Okay, and that goes nicely towards the end of the show where we have questions from the community. And earlier on, I tweeted that you're going to be in the show, so we had a few questions that come in for you, Joe. I'm not sure if you managed to look at it, but we got Malayan
Mm-hmm.
underscore fact on Twitter that was asking, who is the best 5.5 midfielder other than Stuart Armstrong or Souček?
I For me, for me, it's Saint Maximin because like why I mentioned just now, like some of the few points I mentioned just now, and the fact that he's my team. So obviously, I would choose the best player at that price point,
Yeah.
based on what I feel. But yeah, I think Saint Maximin suits that role perfectly. If Souček is back, confirmed to start, probably I would think twice. But like I
Yeah.
mentioned, West Ham going through some patchy times, and also their fixtures. Probably I would still stick to Saint Maximin for now, especially with the fact that Wilson is back. Wilson joins the team, and also Fraser as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, should be exciting times for Newcastle.
Okay, and another Twitter user has asked you. Okay, now this is going to be a little bit long. This is from FPEL underscore Bicho. He's asking, out of the three combinations that he's going to give to you, Martial and Son or Kane and Greenwood, who'd you take?
Martial, Martial and Son or Kane and Greenwood. I would take Kane and Greenwood.
You go for Kane and Greenwood?
Personally, why? Yeah, as of now, personally, why? Because I really think Kane will start off with a bang.
Okay.
His record against Everton is great. He loves scoring goals against them, and yeah, I probably can see Son will probably be back to his left wing position. So,
but
yeah.
you say Kane Greenwood, but the recent incident involving Mason Greenwood, there's a possibility he might have to quarantine and miss the first fixture. We're not sure; it hasn't been confirmed yet. But does something like this, a disciplinary issue, affect his chances of starting for United?
Yeah. So that's also one of my concerns just now. But I mean, unless we have confirmed reports that Greenwood will probably face some disciplinary action in about what he did. Unless we get concrete info like that, probably I would still stick to Kane.
Okay, and on to the next one. It's Trent plus a 4 million defender, or Robbo plus Taylor.
Okay, this one is a bit tricky. Firstly, we need to see which 4 million player is going to feature. Unless you are saying, this 4 million player will be on my bench, then of course I would take Trent over, and because the fact that Trent takes direct free kicks and also block the set pieces, for me it's a huge advantage over Robertson. Although Robertson, did no doubt. I even saw him play against Arsenal in the Community Shield. He arguably the best Liverpool player on the pitch. But I still think over the longer period of time, with the attacking stats that Trent has, Trent still edges over Robertson over this.
Okay, so Trent plus a 4 million defender, yeah? We're going to move on to another one, which is Adams and Son, or Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Ali.
Okay, this is a tricky one. Yeah. Wow, this is tough. I would probably.
You're on the spot now.
Probably say. Sorry.
They put you on the spot now.
I would probably say Adams and Son for now.
Okay.
Adams and Son for now, because based on their form, Calvert-Lewin,
and I think we've actually just lost Joe there. But there you heard it. FPEL _ Bicho. He goes for Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Ali, or Adams and Son, and he's gone for Adams and Son just based on form, post lockdown. So there you have it. We just try and get him to reconnect, and I'll get him on the stream.
Okay.
Joe, you cut off there.
Yeah,
it's all right.
Yeah. I was just about to say about Adams and Son. I think Adams and Son, they were form players. Son did well in the preseason. Adams did well post restart. So in terms of form, Son and Adams edge it for me.
All right.
Dele Alli is interesting. I've seen threats, Son or Ali, whether Ali plus 1 million. For me, I think Ali is still a look and see. If he does have a hint of form, then probably he's worth looking at, Ali. But probably for now, Adams and Son.
Okay, and Red Falcon _30 asked you, from game week 2, do you double or triple up or have valuable assets from each team?
For me, I would think at most I would go is double. I probably wouldn't go triple unless there's a combination of form and fixtures. But for me, just double.
So just double, yeah.
Players from each team.
Okay, I think the Wi-Fi is getting a bit dodgy, Joe. So we'll end it right there. Yeah. Thank you so much for coming up online and giving us your team reveal here on FPL Expectations. It's been a pleasure. Are you going to be revealing your final team before the deadline?
Sorry?
Are you going to be revealing your final team before the deadline?
Oh yeah, what I do is I usually reveal the final team before the deadline on Twitter. So yeah, catch it or tune in to my feed.
Yeah, so if you aren't already following Joe, please do. It's Joe FPL. If you're not following me, it's Craig Rice 11. And if you're not subscribing to FPL Expectations by now, click on that subscribe button and we give you all the content. Throughout the week, we'll have team reveals from all our experts in the FPL community. And you can direct any questions you want. Please follow us as well on Twitter. It's FPL Expectations. This is me, Craig. We had Joe on here. Thank you so much for joining us. This is our team reveal. We'll be back tomorrow with another episode with another pundit giving us his expert opinion on who he'd be selecting. Till then.